Greetings, friends around the world, and welcome. This is Caravan to Midnight, Hump Day Night edition. Right? Wednesday, Hump Day? Forget about it. You know, I'm a little tweaked up about things. Starting with, why don't we start with D.C.? Actually, I'm tweaked up about several things, but let's start with D.C. And here's a message to the swine in Congress. You low-life SOBs were voted in to do a job. You are as useless as teats on a boar, B-O-A-R, and you B-O-R-E me to death. Your lies have become absolutely expected. Everything that comes out of your mouth, you are liars. I'm going to do everything that I can between now and the next election, which is next year, unfortunately for you, to remove as many of you as I possibly can. Oh, you know, I don't have the pointed hat with the moons and stars on it, and the cape to match and the magic wand and all of that. But there are ways to dislodge people from governance that have no business being in it. And that would be, well, you, McConnell, you, Graham, you, McCain, you, Ryan, and several others. You're all going onto a list, and we're going to do as much as we can to see to it that you never return to politics, not even in as much as running for dog catcher. Nothing. Why? You said, give us the House. We did. You said, give us the Senate. We did. You said, give us the presidency. And we did. What did you do? Not a damn thing. You people should be ashamed of yourself, but unfortunately, I guess you just don't know what shame is. Because if you did know what it is, you wouldn't have to be voted out. You'd simply resign. The American people are sick of you. We do not respect you. We do not believe you. We cannot rely on you to do anything that you said you would do. You are patent liars, whores of the lowest common kind, gutter whores. You sell out your country for money. Go to hell. There. That's my opening comment. Now, I've got some more tweakage going here. Minneapolis. The Muslim scumbag, Mohammed Noor. Well, he's a diversity hire to start with. If you don't believe me, you can look it up. Now get this. I like Robert Spencer's Jihad Watch. I recommend that you read it regularly because you're not going to hear about what's really happening out there with the peace-loving Muslims in Western civilization unless you do a little research on your own. And I don't think you're going to sit through my reading the entire content of the website. But let's just start with this. Muslim cop who shot unarmed woman refuses to be interrogated by investigators, who refuse to even be interviewed. And so the question just grows more intense. There's still no evidence that Noor is a jihadi, or this was a jihadi attack, but it does seem to be yet another manifestation of the fear of Islamophobia charges, resulting in a Muslim being placed in a position for which he was not qualified and was able to do harm to others. Now, notice the language of the story. The quintessential example of this phenomenon is Major Nidal Malik Hassan, the Fort Hood jihad mass murderer, who was shot by a little cop, woman, about 5'4". Her nickname was Mighty Mouse. And she just engaged this guy and shot him and screwed him up real good. I hope he suffers every day of his life for what he did. I really do. Yes, I'm indulging in schadenfreude, that is, enjoying the suffering of others. And I hope that bastard suffers on a spectacular level and then dies poorly. With 3 complaints against him in 2 years, Mohammed Noor seems, at the very least, to be dangerously reckless and or incompetent. But maybe not. Maybe he's just a Muslim who doesn't like infidels. I repeat, he was a diversity hire. It's likely that Minneapolis officials were so anxious to have a Somali Muslim police officer they could showcase that they put Mohammed Noor on the force and kept him there when his obvious shortcomings have led to a non-Muslim officer fired or not hired in the first place. July 18th, UPI. The Minneapolis police officer who fatally shot a woman who called 911 for help has refused to be interviewed by authorities investigating the shooting, according to the Minnesota Department of Public Safety. Officer Mohammed Noor shot 40-year-old Justine Ruzic, who also went by her fiancé's last name of Damon, in the abdomen as she stood in the alley behind her home and told the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension that we will not consent to an interview about the incident. Now, they keep saying she was shot in the abdomen. In other words, he shot her in the gut, in the belly, the most painful place that you can be shot. What they're not writing in the article is that this woman suffered horrifically before she died in the alley behind her home, where she was standing to meet police officers who were responding to a complaint she had just called in about an assault taking place in the alley. And this piece of crap of a Muslim Somali police officer shoots her right in the gut. And she gets to die in the alley because of diversity. And what does the left do about this? They begin screaming their worries about, Islamophobia. If I could scream it, I would. If I could scream it loud enough for everyone to hear me, I would. And this is what I would scream. Get this Mohammedan trash from a bygone era, this throwback to the Stone Age religion, the hell out of this country. We are not obligated to embrace Islam. In fact, as Christians, we reject it as a BS religion out of hand. When is this country going to display a little character? Well, we rely on our police officers to keep us safe. You're not safe. You can't even be a woman in your pajamas meeting police in the alleyway without getting gut shot by a Muslim Somali police officer that Minneapolis was just delighted to have on the force. The picture of him with a couple of women with their spooky masks on and their ridiculous ancient garments. Really, is this the sort of society that we're looking for? I don't think so. Has anyone bothered to look at what the peace-loving Islamists do around the world? Do we see Baptists, Methodists, Episcopalians, Presbyterians? Do we see any of them out there doing any of this stuff? No. Then why, unless you're suicidal, would you permit this scum into your civilization? It's because of your leaders. When you have weak leaders, you have a weak society. If your nation is perceived as weak, do you understand that it is weak if it's perceived to be weak? And we're perceived to be weak. The big homo agenda. Gay rainbow colors all over the White House. Michael Obama writing a letter, an email to John Podesta saying, Barack and I just hope that you'll join us now that we have marriage equality. I think we got punked. I think there was a gay couple in the White House. I've never seen shoulders like that on any woman, ever. And that face. How can you go forward unless you have hope? And holds the hope face. Idiots. And you know who are the bigger idiots? We are, for letting them in there to begin with. Oh, yes. Let's get the girls going into the boys' restrooms. Let's get the boys going into the girls' restrooms. And let's let the ones who can't figure out whether they're male or female, let's let them just pick a restroom and go into it. What makes this important? Answer, not a damn thing. It's not important. I don't care if you have 2 penises. I don't care. I don't care if you have no penis. I don't care if you have one stuck on your body that was taken off a cadaver over there, donated to science, got it in a car wreck. brought it up to me in the hospital room like room service. I don't care. But don't expect us to drag the rest of civilization down to your freak level. If you're a freak, just be a freak. Be proud to be a freak. But don't try and make it a political movement, because eventually we're going to get sick of this. We're going to get just as sick of this and your whiny insistence on inclusion as we are this bunch in Congress. And we're sick of all of it. I am sure that it's totally impossible to roll the clock back to 1950-something. There's no going back. We have to go forward. The question is, can we even go forward? Or are we stuck in this morass of political correctness, a lying mainstream media, and a useless do-nothing set of lawmakers? Even if my words are offending you for the moment, just consider this. What if I'm right? I mean, just what if? What if it's time to say, enough of this bleeping nonsense? We elected Donald Trump. We don't like Trump. Well, who did you like? We liked Hillary Clinton. You mean the scumbag that had the private server she was doing State Department business on? That one? The one that orchestrated the sale of 20% of our uranium deposits to Russia and then starts talking about the Russia WikiLeaks? I mean, are we just scum? Apparently we are, because we elect scum to lead us. So I guess that means we're actually sub-scum. I'm just saying, I'm so over all of this. Over it. And you should be over it too. Back to this story about this idiot murdering POS, Officer Noor. He's declined to be interviewed by BCA agents at this time. Officer Noor's attorney did not provide clarification on when, if ever, an interview would be possible. That was part of his statement. But Officer Matthew Harity, the other officer who was in the squad car when Noor opened fire, has been interviewed. And both Noor and Harity are on paid administrative leave during the investigation. So you gut shoot a woman and then go on paid leave? Body cameras are turned off. Dash cams turned off. They're going down the alley with their lights off. Those are the reports. And then Noor reaches across his partner and shoots her in the gut. And she bleeds out in the alley. Serve and protect, right? Every police officer who's decent, who's hearing this broadcast, should be ashamed. I'm pretty sure they are. Yes, it goes without saying there are some good police, but there are a hell of a lot of police that aren't worth killing. And the good cops out there know it. And the good cops out there also know who these people are and wouldn't do a damn thing to help them if they were in a spot. Good for you. You shouldn't. Just let them go the way of the criminal that they are. The good cops out there know who's taking money. The good cops out there know who's dealing drugs. They know the ones that are beating their wives. They know the ones that did a bad shoot and covered it up. They know the liars. They know them all. And what happens when those good cops decide they've had enough and walk out? Well, you're going to be left with a federalized department if Obama gets his way, even after he's left office, right? Well, you know, a federalized force. Just as well-armed and well-funded and well-trained as the regular military. Civilian, remember that? The civilian police force? What is that? That's what you'll have if the good cops leave. And sometimes the good cops do leave because they just can't take it anymore. Then what? Well, then I guess it comes down to individual responsibility and individual accountability. I can't stand guns. They're scary. But I want to call a police officer. He's got a gun, and he will kill the bad man who is trying to hurt me. I'll feel safe. You don't deserve security or freedom. You don't deserve anything. You don't even deserve to breathe the air that you're breathing. That air needs to be reserved for somebody who's worth something. You're squandering air. I think we need to collectively grow some parts that cause us to be motivated aggressive when necessary, and judicious always. But it's pretty hard to be a law-abiding citizen in a nation that has so many laws that each one of us commits an average of 3 felonies a day and doesn't even know it. Your speech is monitored. You're photographed everywhere you go. Your vehicle is tracked. Your TV listens. Your conversations are recorded. You think your mobile phone's not being listened to? Yes, it is. And we go round and round about what was on the server. Was it the server, Hillary Clinton's server? Was there anything classified on it? I say again, if the NSA is this all-knowing, all-seeing body of intelligence gathering apparati, pretty sure they have it. So why hadn't it been turned over? Why has Hillary Clinton not been brought up on charges? Above the law? Really? Above the law. Well, if she's above the law, that means there are a lot of others out there that are above the law also. And that means that we are not a nation of laws at all. We're just a nation of men. Say nation of men, that includes the women too. Although, the case could be made for her being more masculine than feminine. That's not much of a stretch. You're being ugly. Yeah, I really am. I think it's time that we all got ugly. And I think we need to direct that ugliness at the proper target. And I think we need to let these mugs in Congress understand, we will throw your asses out. We will investigate you. We will rat you out for all of the you-know-what you've ever done in your life. It will live forever on the internet with photographs. You will not be able to show your face. Why, if the government oppresses its citizens, would the citizens not at least take a shot at oppressing some of the deserving in government? Same old talking points. We're going to do this, we're going to do that, and then they do nothing. And you pay for it. You pay for it. Let's see, on a 30%, let's say a 33%. Let's make it easy. Let's make it a nice, easy third. 33.3333% of your income should go to taxes, right? You know what that means? That means you work 4 months out of the year for nothing, so that you can be told that your daughter has to have a guy who feels like a girl today go into the toilet with her. Is that what we're paying for? Is this the government that we want? How many freaks are we supposed to consider normal and yet have to somehow contour the society to accommodate them? If this perverse, diverse, and otherwise weird behavior and these habits, if it's so normal, why do we have to contour the society to accommodate them? If it were normal, there'd be no contouring necessary. They would just fit like they have for centuries before it became an ongoing and continual parade of perversity. Yep, there's the buffet of buffoonery and there's the parade of perversity. Question is, how long are we going to stand for this? Well, you're talking about the Salem witch trials now. No, the Salem witch trials only lasted about a year, and most of the people who were involved in it admitted that they'd made a grave mistake and it was stupid, and some of them even did themselves in, so you need to do some research before you play that card. There's right and there's wrong. Even as a kid, things are black and white. The real problem is when you get into the gray area. It's partly right and it's partly wrong. Whichever is the greater measure of either, that's the one you have to go with. Sometimes there are no absolutes in certain things. But there is one absolute, and that is a nation with a virtuous leader will be a virtuous nation. A nation with corrupt leaders will become a corrupt nation. When that happens, the citizens of that nation have no respect for each other whatsoever, largely because they can no longer have any respect for themselves. and they know it. Even if they're not conscious of it, inside, they know it. Well, it's estimated that plant officials have only located 10% of the waste fuel left behind after the nuclear meltdowns at Fukushima Daiichi, but they've got this little thing about the size of a loaf of bread now that's going down to take a look. The probe, yeah, it's equipped with lights and maneuvers using tail propellers, collects data using 2 cameras and a dosimeter, radiation detector. Plant operators chose to send their robot inside the containment vessel of number 3 reactor because it has the highest known water levels out of the 3 reactors. Now, this comes out of dailymail.co.uk. But this is what's interesting. 5 years after the disaster, researchers are still struggling to clean up the highly dangerous radioactive materials in the water of the wasting reactors and so forth. But this is what's interesting, is the way they spin this slightly so it doesn't sound quite so scary. It's been slowly leaking. The water, the radioactive water, has been slowly leaking into the Pacific Ocean. Slowly leaking. As if to suggest, yeah, here we go. It's a huge article. It's estimated that plant officials have only located 10%, right? And the damaged plant is believed to be leaking small amounts of the radioactive waste into the Pacific Ocean, which could be traveling as far as the west coast of the U.S. Now get that. The damaged plant is believed to be leaking small amounts. Well, it's not small amounts. Just last week there, we were talking about 770,000 tons of tritium-enriched water being just released into the Pacific Ocean. But they think it'll probably, the ocean's big, it'll be diluted. Really, is that why all the sea creatures are turning into little blobs of goo from the beaches of Hawaii to the beaches of California and north? Is that why? Because it's only leaking small amounts, and it's a big ocean, it'll probably just dilute it. Well, it's not diluting it, it's poisoning the ocean. Speaking of California, thousands have been evacuated in central California. Wildfires are burning across the U.S. West. It's pretty bad. 25,000-acre wildfire in central Cali, one of 36 major blazes burning across the U.S. West, threatening hundreds of homes and businesses today and forcing the evacuation of about 5,000 residents. There were 46 active large fires spread across 12 states, with 11 new blazes reported on Tuesday alone. Well, so why does it say, this is from trust.org via Reuters, why does it say one of 36 major blazes burning across the U.S. West, and then it says there are 46 active large fires spread across 12 states, with 11 new blazes reported on Tuesday alone? About 4.4 million acres have been burnt since the start of this year, about half of that from last year, 2.7, a little over half. Dry and windy conditions, and on and on and on. This is from Daily Mail also. It goes back to what I said at the beginning of the news segment. Trump invites senators to lunch to bring health care talks back from the dead, but behind the scenes, he's, quote, completely out of patience with effing maddening Republicans who won't repeal Obamacare. You know, we're going to talk with Gerald Celente here in a minute. I'm going to run the idea of government hospitals by him. Why not government hospitals? Got a county hospital. People go there who don't have money. They get treatment. Parkland over here is the best burn and trauma center probably in the world. Seriously. It's the hospital that John F. Kennedy went to after he was murdered, right over there in front of the School Book Depository building. Government hospitals, how about that? Wouldn't that be cheaper than the so-called Affordable Care Act? What a disgrace. Is there any? And you know, it's amazing when you hear one of these little formerly known as liberals, little snowflake collectivists, little Marxists, uneducated, maybe even stupid. What would you say to President Obama now? Thank you, President Obama. Thank him for what? Thank him for what? I can't think of a thing. I can't think of anything to thank him for any more than I can think of a reason why I got the Nobel Peace Prize for being elected president. But that's the way of things now. It's just stupid. I'll leave you with this one. 10 human body modifications you can expect in the next 10 years, if we make it. Elon Musk has called it, "You're already a cyborg. Your smartphone enhances your mind. Your spectacles enhance your vision. And your pacemaker, if you have one, regulates your heartbeat." Sorry. One environment is increasingly wired, sensor-filled, and digitally connected. Our environment is, yes, and so are we. This trend will only continue all over the world. Biohackers, scientists, entrepreneurs, and corporations are eagerly pursuing new and marketable applications for advanced technologies. Many of them are being actively designed to help humans fulfill our age-old transcendent longings. To be stronger, smarter, better looking, more resilient, and to cultivate new abilities that seem like superpowers by the standards of the past. So here are 10 emerging devices and technologies that can soon enhance you in body and mind. You ready? This is from BigThink.com. Number 1, RFID chips. Oh, you guys are behind. Those things have been out for a long time. Microchips are not new, but the practice of routinely implanting them in humans is. Already, biohackers are enthusiastically getting chipped, many of them undergoing the DIY surgery in tattoo parlors. So they're chipping themselves in tattoo parlors. With small radio frequency identification chips implanted in their hands or wrists, these citizen cyborgs can already eliminate many tedious rituals from their daily lives, like carrying a wallet or keys. Foxtrot, Foxtrot, Sierra. Exoskeletons. They used to be called man amplifiers. I used to see these artists' renditions of stuff to come in the future. We've had them for years. Military's got them. We don't know about this. Guys in the military, guys and girls in the military know all about it. You just strap on this suit. It's an exoskeleton, right? Meaning outside your own skeleton, outside your body, instead of inside. And this guy was saying that he can load, I don't know how many hundreds of pounds of ammunition that would normally take him 2 or 3 hours, and he'd be exhausted after doing it. He can load it in about 15 minutes. It was some ridiculous split like that. With this, just pick up a big case of 50 caliber ammo that's this by this, and just set it over there, move it over. There we go, we're good. So exoskeletons, that'll work. I'd sort of like one of those, actually. Can you imagine? Can't you just hear Steppenwolf, Born to be Wild, and you're wearing one of those things, riding your Harley Davidson? Which, by the way, Harley Davidson is, they're taking a little bit of a hit as the baby boomer generation gets older, and I guess they're geezing too heavy to either ride the motorcycles they have, let alone buy new ones. But why would you want to buy a new one? I mean, all you need is one. Real-time language translation. Those applications have been around for a few years. They've had their share of quirks and so forth. However, recent advances in machine learning have done a lot to improve machine translation of late, so much so that we are now on the cusp of achieving seamless translation in real time. Google's translation AI system had demonstrated overnight improvements roughly equal to the total gains the old one had accrued over its entire lifetime. So with AI facilitating a whole new level of precision in this field, a wave of companies are racing to bring ever better products to the market, including Microsoft and Google, of course. That was predictable. The U.S. startup Waverly Labs has crowdsourced over $4 million and has pre-sold 22,000 prototype earbuds that will translate in real time while canceling ambient noise. $299 a pair. And you have to wonder whether human translators will be able to earn much of a living from here on out. Waverly Labs, crowdsourced, $4 million. Pre-sold, 22,000 prototype earbuds. That sounds pretty good. In fact, I'm going to write that down. Okay? Waverly Labs. Okay, I got it. Now, there's an intraocular bionic lens being developed by Ocumetrics Technology Corp., currently being tested in clinical trials, the aim of which is to restore clear vision at all distances without glasses or contact lenses, regardless of the age of the patient. Ideally, 3 times better than 20/20 vision. You know what 20/20 is. They established this baseline, so if you can see clearly at 20 feet, okay? Now, mine was 2,200 250, nearsighted. I could see stuff like almost like a microscope up close when I was a kid, really all the way up through high school. But after that, I started going for distance. So that means that what a normal person at that baseline 20/20 vision could see clearly at 250 feet, I needed it at 20. And the other one, I needed it at 60. But with vitamins, eye muscle exercises, and regular flights up to around 6,500 feet, 6,500 to 8,500 feet, in a general aviation aircraft, not pressurized, the outside pressure goes down and the inside pressure goes up, rounding out the astigmatism. And by the time I was all over with at my last medical, I had 2013, which means that what other people needed at 13 feet to be able to see it clearly, I could see it at 20. But this sounds really good. 3 times, 3 times better than 20/20. I repeat. Okay. Now what else? 3D printed body parts. How about that? Uh-oh. The transsexuals will go mad for it. 3D printed body parts, lab-grown bladders, and functional vaginas have already been successfully implanted in patients. But even more exciting is the promise of 3D printing and implanting vital organs like hearts, lungs, and kidneys. Professor Martin Birchall, a surgeon at University College London, believes that this will come and that important stepping stones will arrive very soon. He told BBC in 2016, quote, "I think it will be less than a decade before surgeons like me are trialing customized printed organs and tissues. I can't wait." The Economist is even more optimistic, predicting that the first implantable livers and kidneys could be 3D printed as early as 2023. How about smarter drugs? Let's be honest, humans love drugs. Some age-old faves include alcohol, caffeine, and sugar. But when it comes to both medicinal treatment and recreational or performance-enhancing drugs, think Prozac for depression and anxiety, or caffeine and amphetamines for alertness and concentration. Today's drugs are pretty darn primitive. Why? Because they're a one-size-fits-all solution that can't be well tailored to the individual. Benefits are also very hard to decouple from the side effects, like opiate-induced constipation, I suppose. The good news is soon we could have a new generation of better, smarter drugs. Already, AI and cheap genomic sequencing are accelerating the drug discovery process and facilitating an increase in effective personalized medicine. Unsurprisingly, pharmaceutical companies, governments, and tech corporations are eagerly getting in on this medical big data game. The Human Longevity Incorporated. That's it, the Human Longevity, Inc., which was run until early this year by the pioneering geneticist Craig Venter of Human Genome Project fame, is on track to complete an ambitious plan to sequence 1 million human genomes by 2020. The company also hopes to mine this enormous database of genetic and phenotypic, that's phenotypic. Who'd have thought that means lifestyle? It does. Data and rapidly accelerate the innovation of personalized drugs and treatment plans. Personalized cancer treatments are already increasingly common and effective. Soon, as former U.S. President Bill B.J. Clinton once said, we could know the term cancer only as a constellation of stars. Wow. Well, BJ, he still shows up, doesn't he? I'm still here. Yeah, you sure are. Number 8, brain-computer interfaces. Humans can already control wheelchairs, advanced neuroprosthetic limbs, and drones with their minds. BCIs, or brain-computer interfaces, have also been used to communicate with patients suffering from the rare affliction of locked-in syndrome. Soon we could be using technology like this all the time, not just to correct for disabilities, but to enhance communication and sensory connection. Perhaps we could even connect telepathically. Now that'd be pretty fun. We'll do Caravan to Midnight. I'll just do this. And you'll hear all this stuff in your mind, which of course would send you to one of the custom drugs that we mentioned earlier. Zuckerberg is not the only tech kingpin thinking about this stuff. He said, you're going to just be able to capture a thought, what you're thinking or feeling, in kind of its ideal and perfect form in your head, and you'll be able to share that with the world in a format where they can get that. I'd like to get into your head, Zuckerberg, and turn into a grenade with a finger painted on it just before it goes pop, pop. I don't think he's helped us. We'll see. Well, we're able to reach out to you on Facebook, so I suppose it's not total loss. Some of the blogs, you know, in the these what do you call it, the comments section, people just use those to just do the middle finger typing thing. Because whenever we get one of those, we just delete it. And in fact, we delete them using our middle finger, just for a bit of fun. Now we've got designer babies, you know about that already. Prenatal screening already affects the proportion of certain genetic traits in the population. A high percentage, most recently estimated at 67% of feti, is it fetuses or feti? Developing children, identified as having Down syndrome, are aborted. While statistics like this have sparked widespread ethical debates, they also indicate that humans tend to be willing to make use of technologies that give them more choice over their reproductive outcomes. In vitro fertilization is another obvious example. And this is number 10, and of course, inevitably, it was going to be on this list. Enhanced sexual organs. Yes, unnatural male enhancement. Wow, what about unnatural female enhancement? Almost 300,000 Americans underwent breast augmentation surgery in 2016, a 4% increase on the previous year and 37% increase since 2000. But it's not just breasts. Almost all cosmetic procedures are on the rise. Clearly, Americans have embraced this mode of human enhancement with gusto. But who wouldn't want to achieve the same goals without sticking bags of silicone inside their body? There might be a better way. Transgender transhumanist Valkyrie Ice McGill. Wow. Talk about finding a name in the book of baby names. Valkyrie. Dun, 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 play that at the birth, you know. He predicted in 2014 that by 2024, a total functional gender transformation will be possible. The same technology that could enable a complete gender reassignment could also allow patients to achieve breast, buttock, and penis enlargements with more natural results. Oh, actually, Valkyrie is, of course, it's a she. Stupid of me. A decade from now, a plastic surgeon is likely to use body modeling software developed by MMOs and VR to enable you to decide precisely how you want to look, and then supervise the Da Vinci Auto Surgeon as it uses your own body fat and skin cells to produce a stock of programmable stem cells, and then performs hundreds or even thousands of minimally invasive microsurgeries to place those programmed cells throughout your body, where they will become extra muscle mass, larger breasts, repair damaged internal organs, etc., allowing your future self the option of re-sculpting your personal appearance. This guy writes, holy crap. A bigger butt grown from your own stem cells? Kinda cool, if a little predictable. But then we idealize curvy women and muscular men because it's been an historical ideal with a strong biological impetus. Our tastes don't spring from nowhere. Yet, when it comes to sex, humanity as a species has big aspirations and vivid imaginations. There will always be those who want to create completely new ideals of beauty and sexuality and who hope to transcend the limits and values of the present day. But yeah, I think we're seeing some of that now. Yeah, we definitely are. The transhumanist George Dvorsky is one such human. He has playfully outlined a speculative deal for the penis of the future. Notably, it's not the same old thing, but bigger. Among other traits, Dvorsky hopes that a future penis could be bacteria-resistant and Wi-Fi enabled. Another eager biohacker and transhumanist, Rich Lee, has a different vision. He thinks vibrating penile implants will be the way of the future. Some other fascinating predictions can be found in the 2016 Future of Sex report. The authors believe that dating in virtual reality will be common by 2022, and that by 2027 we'll have brain interfaces that allow us to literally turn our partners on via their most powerful sexual organ, being their mind. While the fullest realization of many of these technologies will likely be felt over several decades, it is realistic to imagine we will see these kinds of innovations improving fast and becoming more widely tested and adopted in the decade to come. Sure, you might not have a vibrating penis in 10 years' time, but you will certainly have met someone with a chip implant by 2027, and there's a very good chance you'll have one yourself. Same goes for much of the rest. Very exciting stuff. This was written by Elise Bohan. Yeah, and life just gets stranger and stranger. You know, did you hear about this this idiot contributor to the New York Times, Louise Mensch? She claims Steve Bannon could be executed for treason. I'm happy to report, this will be the last thing. They're still wondering what happened to the surveillance footage of the FBI vehicle being broken into. Remember? Remember when Seth Rich got rubbed out? And remember the lady FBI agent who, you know, just got her vehicle broken into, you know, by somebody who apparently showed up in an Uber and left by one. No, showed up in an Uber and then threw stuff around on the front porch of various houses as this person made its escape. But at least the story is still alive. FBI spokesperson Catherine Zackel claimed the FBI was examining surveillance video in that area, but the D.C. police and the FBI have never released any surveillance video, despite evidence the areas of northeast Washington where Seth Rich was murdered and where the weapons were stolen from the FBI van are under heavy surveillance camera coverage by both law enforcement agencies, private businesses, and private citizens. Yes, where Seth Rich was murdered and where the weapons were stolen from an FBI van. It started off a car, and now it's a van. And what about the laptop that was supposedly taken during this theft? Things are getting really, really messy. And look, forgive me if I was having a bit of fun with some of those articles. I got to tell you, it is always a pleasure to speak with the one and only, I call him Celente, Gerald Celente, author and publisher of the Trends Journal. And we can talk about almost anything with him. So why don't we just do that? I'd rather do that than go down a sheet of notes. Gerald Celente, how are you? It's great to see you again.
I'm very well. Thank you so much for having me on, and thank you for all that you do.
Well, it goes both ways. Say, this, the latest Trends Journal, I'm taking a look at it now. It is, as always, rich in content, and really, I recommend it to people all the time. I'm just wondering, you see any bright spots in this Trump presidency? I mean,
yes.
You know what I mean. I'll go first. He just said about this healthcare thing, let it fall, let it fail. And we're not going to own this. They're going to own it. Forget it. They'll be coming back to us saying, what can we do? Do you agree with that? Somebody, Britt Hume, almost had a seizure over it being such politically suicidal. What do you think?
Well, I mean, they couldn't get what they wanted, so yeah, let it keep going. People forget that Obamacare was a disaster. We were watching, rates go up in some places, over 100%, and other insurance companies pulling out of states, long before the Trump came into office. And also, what people fail to recognize is that, this isn't a healthcare system in the truest sense, in that, the merger of state and corporate powers, by definition of Mussolini, it's fascism. And we're being forced to buy insurance from private companies. So again, the merger of state and corporate powers tried too big to fail. Again, in capitalism, there's no such thing as too big to fail, But when you're an insider and you're one of the ones running one of the monopolies, that's the deal. So the Obamacare was failing long before Trump started attacking it. And yes, I believe he's correct in what he's saying. It will fail on its own. The rates have been going up astronomically. You know, when you look at, for example, you know, whether bronze, gold, copper, you know, how about, you know, it's not worth a penny copper programs that they have. What do you have, like, you know, families of four, you know, you have paying these ridiculous rates, and you have deductibles in the $5,000 range. So it really isn't a healthcare system that has been working. What do I see positive from Trump? Well, on the Russian front, of course, you know, the Russians are coming. The Russians are coming. We've got to watch out for those Russians. Look what they did to Iraq, invading that place on a war based on lies that they launched. You know, that Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction and ties to Al-Qaeda. Yeah, those rotten Russians. Hey, look what those Russians did to Libya, the richest country in Africa. The people there were living better than anywhere else in the area. And look what those Russians did in overthrowing Gaddafi.
Right.
Oh, I know. You know, how about Afghanistan? You know, those damn Russians are up there. It's the longest war in their history, 16 years. You know, being facetious, of course. You know, this is the Americans that are doing this. Trump wants to bring peace with the Russians. Oh, those Russians, they overthrew that democratically elected government of Ukraine, didn't they? No, that was the Americans.
Yeah, so what are we doing out there?
The positive things I see about Trump are him trying to make peace with Russia. And we got a bunch of pieces of crap called the prostitute news media, these little boys and girls that put out, because they get paid to put out, what they're supposed to put out by their DC whoremasters and their corporate Johns that keep making us want to hate Russia backed on no facts. For example, hey, you know, those Russians hacked into the DNC. Show me some proof. Not one shred of evidence. No, we think, we believe, we... Hey, I've heard your crap for a long time. You believe in BS because that's the only thing you sell. Show me some evidence. If I'm in court, I have to show evidence. But not when you're a lying little prostitute that buys the crap that's being fed to them. So going back to Russia, hey, something that's not making the news other than Donald Trump's son met with this one, and Trump sat and talked to Putin at the dinner. Yeah, in front of everybody else. What's the big deal about that? How about the fact that's not being reported is that a whole zone in Syria, there's a ceasefire thanks to Putin and Trump. But that doesn't make the news. The other positive element I see with Trump in there, he's showing what a freak show the whole damn thing is. You just had different people in there to put a better cover on it. They would talk into the teleprompter like this and throw you out a lot of their arrogant crap and call themselves commander-in-chief as they're shoving it right to you. And the whole system is rotten. It's disgusting. So with Trump in there, to me, it's showing what a fraud the whole damn thing is.
You know, I suppose we can wring our hands about this, but I have to ask this question. Did you ever imagine that the so-called news media would be able to behave like this and get away with it without being closed down, sanctioned, charged, taken off the air or something? I mean,
It's no surprise to me at all. Look, I used to be on Oprah, the Today Show, Good Morning America, NBC with Brian Williams. I've been on everybody, even O'Reilly. You know, I've seen what the shows look like. You know, there's nothing there. Look at the wars these SOBs have lied us into. You know, I'm old enough, you know, I was draft age at, you know, those commies, they're going to destroy Vietnam. You know, the dominoes are going to keep falling over there in Vietnam, and they're going to reach California. A Gulf of Tonkin incident that the slimy media lied us into. The rotten, stinking, disgusting media that lied us into the Iraq wars and the other wars. They haven't changed. Only the faces have changed, and it's become more transparent since now we have 6 companies controlling 90% of the show. So that the lies are just a bit more concentrated, and so is the freak show. Look who they bring on. Do you think I want to hear from a Democratic jerk or a Republican moron as being that's what I have to decide who's lying or telling less of a lie than the other one? It's a disgrace. There are no free voices out there. They're all paid prostitutes that they bring in. Even the people, they used to bring in people like me from the outside. Now you can be on the payroll to be on.
So it's basically I'm looking for light at the end of the tunnel, and there isn't any. And some of the things that Thomas Jefferson himself had to say about the press popped into my mind, and I don't remember his name, published that thing in 1871 about it's the press's job to lie and to spin. If any of us, including myself, were to write our honest opinions, by tomorrow morning we wouldn't have a job. So I suppose this is nothing new. It's just maybe I've just had too much of it, and it's just totally infuriating to the point that, I want payback of some kind.
Well, again, the good news is that people like yourself and others that are, and like we do with the Trends Journal, we have a dedicated and growing audience because people are looking for the truth in trends. And that's what we do. We try to, you have the journal, there's nothing one-sided in there at all. It's loaded with facts, not opinions. And you know what opinions are like, everybody knows that joke. Right. You're like, you know what? Yeah. And that's all this is. It's all opinions. And again, arrogant people with bad attitudes selling their crap. And again, the good thing about Trump to me is showing what a fraud the whole system is. I was thinking the other day, just yesterday I came up with this. I said, if anybody thinks that, quote, government officials and politicians have any value at all, look at what government buildings look like. Look at the ugly crap that they design. Look at the crummy schools, these square little rectangular boxes that they shoved us into. That shows you their mentality. Show me one gorgeous new government building in the general perspective. You can't find it. So what I'm saying, that's who they are. There's nothing there. What you see is what you get, and Trump is showing it broadside.
I was wondering about this healthcare thing. It was I was talking with the inner circle the other night, and the idea came up: why not government hospitals? Why not just government hospitals? Wouldn't it be cheaper than trying to roll out their idea of socialized medicine, which is like astronomically expensive and poor, and you can't keep the doc that you've been going to for the last 20 years because Bones Obama says so. That's over with, even though he lied and said that he could. So everything that Obama said, basically, I mean, there may be a few exceptions somewhere, it was a lie. So if we really do want to help people who have fallen through the cracks and they can't get access to the medical care that they need, what would be wrong with government hospitals, even if it's in a boring building, which it will be, probably with concertina wire around it too? But what would be wrong with that? I mean,
fine. That sounds good to me. Well, and also, let's look what's going on. How about, let's look at some other things. How about self-responsibility? How about over a third of Americans are obese? How about 2/3 are grossly overweight? How about the opiate epidemic? How about self-responsibility? How about overdosing on prescription drugs? So if you want to live that lifestyle, that's your trip, man. I don't want to pay for it. It's not easy to stay in shape. It's not easy to work out all the time. It's not easy trying to improve yourself on a daily basis. It takes work. Look, when I was a young guy and you were, there was no such thing as type 2 diabetes. And all this BS, the millennials and everybody, they're looking for higher quality foods, and that's why brands are dying. What, are you kidding me? The people are gumming down McDonald's, Domino's, Pizza Hut. What, Pizza Hut just hired 3,000 more drivers or something. You know, so look what society looks like. You know, John B. Wells, they say, you've heard that expression, pigs can't fly. You been to the airport lately?
Haven't seen a single flying pig.
They're all over the place.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look what this society's degraded down to. So yes, I agree. That's a good idea. Government hospitals, and how about this one? We spent $2.5 trillion on the Afghan war. Trillions more on the Iraq war. Trillions being spent on the Syrian and Libyan war. Who's this enriching other than who Eisenhower warned us about, the military-industrial complex? And who is it? I wonder why we have a refugee crisis over there in Europe. I can't figure it out. You mean they're leaving Syria and Iraq and Afghanistan and Libya? Oh, when Gaddafi was in there, people weren't going into Italy via Libya because he stopped it. Last year, 86,000. Yeah, numbers keep climbing. And he warned NATO that when he goes, the refugee problem out of Africa, the migrant problem, the refugee problem was going to explode. Here we are. So what I'm saying, yeah, let's redirect that money that they're killing people around the world who've done nothing to us, and put that into government hospitals.
You know, how I wish you were my brother or my uncle or something that lived down the street there where we could talk all the time. I think I've said that before, but it's like, you're such a realist, you know. You just don't pull any punches. You either don't punch or you let them have it. And I really like that. So now the question is this. What do you think the chances are, since we can't get anything done from the Washington, D.C. people, what would happen? I wonder if there's some way to just quarantine them and pretty much ignore them. They've made themselves virtually irrelevant. Why can't the states just take over, just restore states' rights as it was originally designed to be done to begin with, before everything was federalized? Because the moment everything gets federalized, it goes down the toilet. There's this thing about Social Security is going to be in 5 years, really? The average length of a car loan is going to be paying out more than it's taken in. We're importing workers. I'm going to talk with Josh Tolley about that in a little bit. I could probably talk with you about it too. But, you know, the birth rate's low. I don't understand. There's so much contradictory information out there. It's, oh, the population of the earth is exploding. It's like, what is, no, it's not. No, it's not. It's only exploding in certain areas. It's not exploding in the United States, except from the illegal immigrants that come in, and then, you know, they have 8, 9, 10 children per family and so forth. So maybe that's good. Maybe we're a vanishing nation. But what I'm thinking here is that these programs that are coming out of D.C. are not working. They can't even run a post office. They're giving Amazon $1.46 on every pack as a subsidy. That's taxpayer money for every box that they ship. Why can't we just quarantine these mugs and go on about our business, since they're not doing us any good at all?
Here's what the only way I see it. And again, you know, the motto of the Trends Journal is think for yourself. We don't tell people what to think or believe. They just had an election in France. Like the guy or not, you know, he's a Rothschild guy, a stooge. You know, he calls himself, you know, the next Jupiter, Macron.
Yeah.
It's a new party. They started a new party a year ago, and they destroyed the two existing parties. The only way I see a way out is with new parties, a new direction, and to make the two irrelevant parties truly as irrelevant as they are. And again, when you look at both sides, who do you have? Here we got in New York, little Chucky Schumer, a boy of nothing that never worked a day in his life, but a lot of arrogance. Same thing with our governor, Cuomo. Yeah, and Chris's brother on CNN. Two little privileged princes who'd be nobodies if their old man wasn't Mario Cuomo, the governor. And by the way, when I was on all the networks, I remember when they were grooming Chris. He was doing sports and pop culture stuff. And now he's this arrogant guy. Look at Pelosi. When's she going to go out of her mind again? Look at Dianne Not-So-Feinstein on the Democratic side. Shift over to the Republicans. John Insane McCain. Lindsey, when are you going to come out of the closet, Graham? Little Paul Eddie Munster Ryan, another guy with a bad attitude that never worked a day in their life. All these people do, from Pelosi, all the ones I mentioned, they've been sucking off the public tit and live in the lap of luxury with arrogance, telling us, the little people in Slavelandia, what to do, how to do it, when to do it. Hey, did you ever hear the word public servant? Yeah, you little people only throw that line out when you want to get elected. Like the rest of these little clowns that work for the governments in a city, state, and county near you. Oh, I took this job. I hate it, but I'm going to tell you what to do. And I took the job because I'll get a pension at 55 years old, and you're going to have to pay for it the rest of your life. And I'll shove any crap I want down your throat because I'm a government official a-hole. And that's why the system exists the way it is. The only way I see it changing is new direction to get rid of the Bloods and the Crips, the murderers and the thieves called the Republicans and the Democrats. In a party that you want to believe in, knock yourself out. Because to me, as I said, they're murderers and thieves, and the only way to change the system is to get the criminals out of the system.
Well, that's it, isn't it? Isn't it amazing how Madam Clinton was able to run a private server and do government business on it, and she's just bulletproof. You know, what do you think about Comey? I think Comey was in Clinton's pocket.
He's another nothing, another little gutless guy. You know, again, we get that. Again, let's go back to the media. You mentioned Comey. Comey's going to be on TV. It's going to be the Super Bowl of TV. Everybody tuning into Comey. I didn't tune in for 1 second because I knew the whole thing would be useless, and all it is media hype. And that's all it turned out to be. What did it accomplish? Nothing. And that's what they're doing every day with Trump's this, Trump's son that, Trump knew this guy, that one, this one that. Nothing. All it is diversion. Anybody that's watching this crap on TV, listening to it on the radio, if you like to masturbate in public, knock yourself out, man, because that's all you're doing by being a part of that. They give us nothing. One story a day. We're going to milk the hell out of it. We're going to bring in our little experts who are going to say on either side what they want you to swallow and just open up and suck it down.
Yeah. Wow. I love the way you talk. I really do. I'll tell you what. I know you don't have much time because you're enjoying summer up in beautiful New York State. And so I'm not going to keep you. But you know what I would like for you to do, Gerald? Would you, give us a little sales piece on the Trends Journal, because it's a fantastic publication. It looks like it's a very expensive publication because it's so slick and it's well laid out. I mean, it's nice. When it shows up in the mail, I like it. I know you can get it digitally, but it's been showing up at the mailbox, and I like it. I mean, I leave it out there until the next one comes so that people can look at it. So when people sign up for it, tell them what they get and tell them how they can get it, because I want everybody to get it.
Oh, thank you. It's not only the Trends Journal. We do a Trends in the News broadcast each weekday night. And this week, a new Trends Monthly will go out. And again, it's another version of the Trends Journal almost, but, recaps of what we see happening. And one of the great stories, by the way, driverless cars, the next .com bust. A lot of hype and no reality. So where are you going to invest? You want to do it? We don't give investment advice, but here's where we see it going. A whole big article on electric cars, issues about health, the economy. And again, on the economy, by the way, very important. Here we are, we're in 8 months now into the Trump rally. Over 8 months. And you know me, I've been on your show a long time. I believed that the economy was going to go down. 4 days after Trump got elected, we notified all our subscribers. I've said it on the media. No, this is real. This is not going to go down. It's going to go up. And that's contrary to all the gloom and doomers that keep saying it virtually every day. The end is near. We see a correction of the market, not a crash. There can be a wild card that's dealt. That's why nobody can predict the future. That could bring on a crash. But not the fundamentals are not going to bring on a crash. This isn't where they were doing subprime mortgages and banks were gambling trillions on derivatives. That's not in existence now. We don't have... Yes, the Chinese debt bubble at 300 times GDP is huge. It's the Chinese government. They're going to do what they can do to keep the thing alive, just like they did in the United States with something I would have never dreamed of called quantitative easing and zero interest rate policy. I'm saying this because what we're forecasting in the economy is basically more of the same. The money going to the very rich, the middle class going down a bit, and the people that aren't earning a lot now are not going to be earning much later. So that's what we see more of. On the bigger end of it, as you see the malls closing, no, it's not the end of brick and mortar. It's the end of a segment that, again, goes back to monopolies, all of these very few companies taking control of so much and losing the uniqueness of who they used to be. The mall time is not going to go away in different sectors. And it provides opportunities because if you remember, when malls opened up in around small towns, it sucked the business out of them. Now that those malls are closing down, what small towns are going to be revitalized, and where will you find the profit opportunities, not only in real estate, but to be an entrepreneur, to open up the shop, the dreams, and what you wanted to do that you weren't able to do before, but now you could afford the rents. So yes, we're going to see a bubble, by the way, also on the higher rent levels, particularly in the commercial sectors. They're way overpriced in flourishing markets. They've overbuilt. Same with luxury housing and apartments. They've peaked. So what we see financially is basically more of the same with an opportunity for it to become much worse. Not a lot worse, but a correction worse.
Are you seeing a retail bubble now, swelling up and fixing to pop?
Yeah, again, the retail bubble, do you know the percentage of what people buy retail online?
I do not.
13%. That leaves a lot of room out there.
Yeah, it does. 13, that's it.
So what's happened is they've instilled this techno mind into our brain. Robotics, virtual reality, artificial intelligence. Go out to a restaurant. Hang out with your friends at a dinner. If you're not doing this, there's no technology involved. Technology is not involved in a lot of human experiences. They're not going away. Are they going to lose market share? Yes. Is it going to continue to grow in the retail sector? Yes. But there are other... Look, Amazon bought Whole Foods. And by the way, just to put this into perspective, the organic market is only about a $40 billion marketplace compared to an over $400 billion marketplace. That's it. And I'm the guy in my books back in the 80s, was one of the first people talking about organic. I coined the term clean food. So I know what the market drivers are. And again, Whole Foods, try whole paycheck. A lot of people can't afford it. Go back to Amazon. Remember how they were bragging about online grocery shopping. They never put out their numbers of what a failure it is. That's why they bought a brick and mortar. So there's opportunities in retail, but the people are tired of the Abercrombies. They're tired of the brands that keep putting out the same stuff with the same look the same identity. They're tired of the Macy's that look all alike and they all aren't great. They're tired of the same. So they became too big and they lost their uniqueness. So the opportunity now is to go in the new directions. I mean, think about fashion. I got one for you. You think times are bad, you're feeling rotten, your job stinks, you got some personal problems. I got an idea. I'm going to cheer you up with fashion. We're going to create the distressed look. What are you, out of your mind? Yeah, we're going to rip the clothes. You're going to look like a piece of crap, and you're going to feel great about it. The more tears that you have, it shows you how low you've gone. I got a better one. We'll create a whole fashion statement. Oh, this worked. So too will distress, because look what we did. We took the lowest common denominator of society. Yeah, the most violent criminals in the penal system. You know, the ones we can't give belts to or shoelaces to because they'll kill you with these things. So we're going to create a fashion statement, and we're going to use their moronic, disgusting language to sell it. We're going to call it gangster rap. We're going to give people pants that they wear down below their butt, because when you don't have a belt, that's where they fall to. Oh, and we won't give them shoelaces. Oh, we'll give them hoodies. We're going to really make them look gangster. That's how sick it all is. You wonder why it's dying? You got a bunch of sick SOBs that don't know style, elegance, and grace if it hit them in the face. And that's why you see Versace's bragging about the distressed look.
Oh my gosh. Society has really gone that direction.
Am I making this up?
No. I wish you were. You're not. I really wish you were.
Again, look what society looks like. Look how low we've sunk at every level. I mean, you know, junk food in, junk food out. Crap in, crap out. And again, go back to the media you were talking about. It's one daily dose of crap that they keep spewing out, and for the people that like it, keep sucking it in.
Yeah. I got one more for you, and then I'll let you go back to summertime in New York State. And that is this. I'm pretty sure, I'm just presuming here, but I'm pretty sure you're okay with us bailing out of the Trans-Pacific Partnership and also the Paris Climate Accords, if for no other reason than it annoys the hell out of the establishment, the left collectivists. I'm just wondering about Mr. Trump. Do you think he can go the distance, and with this deck stacked the way it is in Congress right now, absent the threat of them being roundly thrown out of office, and maybe if so many of them got thrown out of office, we would automatically have our new political party. Do you think he can go the distance, and is there any point in him going the distance?
Yeah, I think he can go the distance if he would change his direction, in the sense that, you know, what are you going on with these little jerks for on TV and having discussions with them? Hardly show up. What are you twittering for? Play president. Play man in charge. Stop all this showtime. Stop the presidential reality show, okay? Let's get serious over here. On the Trans-Pacific Partnership, you mean the one shoved down our throat by Obama, quote, the most transparent president I'm going to be when you elect me, folks? Yeah, he folked us, all right. He was so transparent you could see right through him. Yeah. You remember him. He was out there up in the Rust Belt. Folks, we're going to get rid of that NAFTA, aren't we? Yeah, and then he shoves a Trans-Pacific Partnership deal that we're not even allowed to read. The Paris Climate Accords mean nothing. There are no regulations forcing anybody to do anything. It's all masturbation. There's no fact there. You could look at them. I know the outlines of it. It wasn't forcing anyone to do anything. They just set, quote, goals and standards. It meant nothing. Can Trump make it? Yes. What the Republicans have to really understand is that if they don't start doing something really fast and positive, they're going to be voted out of office in the midterm election, and that will even be worse for we the people, because nothing is done now even less than nothing will be done later with the opposition party in place.
Well said. I'll tell you what, I feel like I've had a 6-hour course in about 30 minutes. I really like it. Well, God bless you, sir, and thanks so much for giving us a little of your time. I look forward to speaking to you in the not-too-distant future. I do not want it to be as long as it has been from our last conversation till today, as from today to our next conversation. Does that make sense? In other words, let's talk soon.
Okay. Well, I love being on with you, and again, thank you for all that you do.
Goes right back at you. Just don't go changing, okay? All right.
Don't worry.
God bless.
Bye-bye.
Gerald Celente, everybody. Just go to trendsjournal.com and take a look at it. It's all the information about his broadcasts and how you can get these publications are right there on the site, trendsjournal.com. All right? If you're watching this program on YouTube, you know, YouTube is very interesting, don't you find? I understand from information I received as recently as last night that the time for truth seekers and truth speakers to enjoy that exchange over YouTube, timeline may be shortening for that sort of thing. I'm hearing reports about people's channels being struck, never to return again. And they're not saying anything radical. It's not like they're trying to recruit jihadis. They're just speaking the truth as they see it, based on actual facts and research. And those facts and that research flies in the face of the narrative. The message is meaningless. The collectivists know this. They know it's been tried over and over and over again, and it has failed over and over and over again. You know that thing, that Einsteinian thing about doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result, is the definition of insanity? Well, few would disagree that the leftist collectivists, formerly known as liberals because they are anything but, they are insane. The numbers go to that. 18% statistically of all the people out there in the good old USA have either been diagnosed with or are currently being treated for some kind of mental illness. And those are just the ones who have been diagnosed or are being treated, which means that there are a lot more of them out there who are not capable of independent thinking, and in addition, they're mentally impaired. Well, birds of a feather flock together, don't they? But I've never seen a flock of eagles. That would be a bird of a more independent type. So what I'm getting at is this. Caravan to Midnight is a membership-supported service. No sponsors leaning on us, and certainly no corporations owning us, and therefore leaning on us to report on certain stories and by no means report on other stories. That just doesn't happen here. And as the net tightens around those who use YouTube as a channel to get the word out, get their opinions out there, to get the truth out as they see it, more and more restrictions are going to come into play until eventually that avenue will be closed. The only reason that they're allowing it now is that they have advertisers. They make money from the advertising. So do we think that eventually some of the advertisers might lean on YouTube to need to get rid of some of these programs that are on there? You need to get rid of some of these YouTube videos that are being posted because we don't want our ads popping up on their channel at all. That's sponsor pressure. We don't have any. We provide this news segment as a service to you. We do it for free because it goes over YouTube, right? And the Caravanners who pay for this program to be produced are okay with it. We have not received one complaint that, why are you putting that stuff on YouTube? What we get frequently is, you should put that was a great interview with so-and-so, whoever it is, a lot of them. You should put that on YouTube. It's like, we may eventually put it on YouTube, but that stuff is reserved for our members because they pay for it, because they support us. And we want to support them by not taking their support and then just releasing it to the world without asking. So we did ask. And they said, no, do it. We're completely okay with it. And there are a lot of them. Statistically, we should have gotten at least, 100 something. Even if it was just a fraction of a percent, we should have gotten 100 complaints about it. Haven't gotten any complaints about it. What does that tell you about the Caravanners? What does it tell you about their character? What does it tell you about the value they place on getting some real solid information out to the world and spread it as far as we can? They're committed. If you're here, you've already taken the first step. But don't just stick your toe in the water. Jump in, join us. We're a family. We help each other. We support each other. And we need to support each other. Because, as you'll find out when we speak with Josh Tolley in just a few minutes, the game is afoot. And frankly, we're way behind. The more information we get out, the more accurate it is, the better chance we have of at least slowing this down. We may not be able to stop it. That is God Almighty's decision. And we will need his help if it's to be stopped. But in the meantime, if we can only do a little, then let's do that to slow it down. Remember your Edmund Burke. The biggest mistake ever made was made by he who did nothing because he could only do a little. Well, if you can only do a little, then do just a little, but do something. Start by joining us, okay? There's a link right down there, and we welcome you. All right, stand by, Josh.